When the guy running WWE's creative sits down for a podcast and starts analyzing why a former president connected with wrestling fans, you know you're about to get some fascinating insight into the weird intersection of politics, entertainment, and why charisma matters more than almost anything else in both worlds. Triple H just dropped some real talk about Donald Trump's WWE legacy, and honestly, whether you love him or hate him politically, the game's analysis of what made Trump work in wrestling is chef's kiss accurate. WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H was a recent guest on the All In podcast, and when the conversation inevitably turned to Donald Trump's ties to WWE and speculation about whether The Rock might eventually run for president, Hunter went full political science professor on us. His explanation for why people like Trump and The Rock appeal to massive audiences cuts through all the noise and gets to the fundamental truth about how humans choose their leaders and their entertainers. Here's what Triple H actually said, and pay attention because this is wrestling philosophy 101 applied to real-world politics. Hunter pointed out that if you look back through history at every presidential cycle, the most charismatic person on that stage is usually the one who gets elected president. Not necessarily the most qualified, not always the one with the best policies, but the one who connects with people on a visceral level through pure force of personality. Now, before anyone starts typing angry comments, Triple H acknowledged that issues matter and the real day-to-day things affecting people's lives are obviously important. But here's his core insight that wrestling fans understand better than anyone. At the end of the day, voters are picking who they like. They're picking who connects with them emotionally. They're picking who is charismatic and makes them feel something, whether that's hope, anger, excitement, or belief that this person represents them. This is literally the exact same formula that determines who gets over in professional wrestling. You can have all the technical wrestling ability in the world, you can execute perfect moonsaults and submission holds, but if you don't connect with the audience on an emotional level, you're going to struggle to draw money and sell merchandise. Charisma isn't everything, but it's the foundation that everything else is built on. Triple H then got specific about why Donald Trump works so well in the WWE environment, and this analysis is fascinating regardless of your political opinions. Hunter said Trump was very good in WWE's world because he was okay being himself. He was willing to get egg on his face and be embarrassed sometimes. He was okay putting it all out there and just being authentically him, whatever that means to different people. Think about what that actually means in wrestling terms. Trump appeared at WrestleMania and got his head shaved by Bobby Lashley after losing a match. He took a stone-cold stunner from Steve Austin. He allowed himself to be part of storylines where he didn't always look cool or powerful, where he was willing to be the butt of jokes and physical comedy. For someone with Trump's ego and public persona, that willingness to play along and be vulnerable in WWE's world showed a level of commitment that wrestling fans respected. Triple H also noted that Trump is charismatic, larger than life, and not afraid to say what's in front of him, right or wrong. That last part is key. Whether you agree with what Trump says or find it horrifying, there's no denying he speaks with conviction and doesn't seem to filter himself based on what he thinks people want to hear. In wrestling and in politics, that authenticity, or at least the perception of authenticity, is incredibly powerful for connecting with audiences. Then Hunter made the comparison to The Rock, saying that connection with people is really what drives the planet in his mind. The Rock and Donald Trump are obviously very different people with different political views and different public personas, but they share that fundamental quality of being able to connect with massive audiences through pure charisma and presence. The Rock can walk into any room anywhere in the world and immediately command attention. So can Trump. That's not a political statement. It's an observation about how humans respond to certain types of personalities. What makes Triple H's analysis so interesting is that he's speaking from a position of authority on this specific topic. The game has spent his entire adult life in an industry where charisma determines success or failure. He's watched thousands of wrestlers come through WWE's system, and the ones who become superstars aren't always the most talented in-ring performers. They're the ones who figure out how to make audiences care about them, how to generate emotional responses, and how to create that intangible connection that makes people want to watch them every week. Applying that same framework to politics makes perfect sense when you think about it. Presidential campaigns are essentially extended promos where candidates are trying to get the audience to buy into their character and believe in their storyline. The candidates who succeed are the ones who master the performance aspect of politics,